question I'd like to discuss is, does life have a meaning? I notice that people tend to attribute meaning to their lives. They will point to the work they do, the relationships they have, the principles they live by, and of course to the importance of hand painting miniature orcs, not the last one. I notice as well that people don't appear to function very well when their sense of meaning is challenged or taken away. One trainee barrister I met found herself in a state of near paralysis simply because after all those years of training, she finally secured a job in a set of chambers. And she was tormented by the question, well, what am I going to live for now? The insanely successful regularly report from the top of the pile that when you actually finally get there, it feels as if there's nothing there. What about this? We get thirsty, and so there is water. We get hungry, and so there is food. Existentially, it appears to be the case that we need meaning to function as people. So I extrapolate, there must be meaning to be had. A lot of people assume that meaning will have to be the meaning or meanings they decide to attribute to their lives. Atheists reject the claim that they're condemning people to meaninglessness. They often urge people to dignify their lives with a meaning of their choice. Now, I consider this to be an entirely rational position, save for one possibility. What if, instead of us searching for or trying to define a meaning for our lives, the meaning of life has already been made known to us? I'd like to explore a different take on life's meaning. I don't think there is a goal or an ambition big enough to define us. That's why the achievement of one simply leads on to the pursuit of the next. I don't think relationships can fully define us either. We are obviously relational beings and need intimate connection with each other, but we're also unfathomable and mysterious, and no person can explore or satisfy all that I am. Neither do I think trying to live an altruistic life in which we put others first does the job. We aren't powerful enough to right all that is wrong, and we all fall short of our own standards. And so, we often feel like we remain on a treadmill. And I believe this explains what people often experience, a momentary and slight or a perpetual and increasing feeling of restlessness at the heart of things. So what if these meanings with which we invest our lives, whilst very important, are actually only shadows or impressions of an ultimate greater and all-encompassing meaning? Is it so strange to consider that the lifelong desire to invest our lives with all manner of meanings points to the existence of someone who can tell us who we are and what we're for? We are left to define our own meaning, if there is no God. But I believe there is a God, and that it's important that we don't leave him on the outside of our lives. Bill Bailey, the comedian, puts it like this: it's just quite a stretch to think that all of this that we see around us is the result of some solar fluke. It has happened because of some random cosmic ordering and a 1 in a squillion mathematical equation. It's hard to believe we're just the right distance from the sun for all this wonder to occur. Mercury nothing, Venus nothing, Earth, fridge magnets, hummus, Spandau Ballet, anything you want. What if the meaning of life isn't about science, philosophy or religion? If it's not limited to us, our intellect, our inquiry and our effort? What if it's not about us working out a meaning for our lives, but about meaning, the meaning of life coming in search of us? My wife is a social worker by training, specialising in children, and she teaches parents how to connect with their little so-and-sos. Through developments in neuroscience, we know that human beings are unique in that our brains continue to develop after we are born. What happens to us between the ages of 0 to 3 is crucial to our development. The existence of a healthy connection with his or her or their parents is fundamental to the well-being of a child. Thanks to other scientific research, it's also been established that what all people need to sustain them in life, above all other things, is the existence of a loving, ongoing relationship. The longest longitudinal study of people ever undertaken began in 1938 and continues to this day. It's a study of men who went to Harvard University, and the question being investigated is, what leads to success and fulfillment in life? And the study has proved that the single greatest predictor of success in these men's lives is the existence of a loving, ongoing relationship. So whether we're considering the healthy development of children or the success and fulfillment of adults, loving long-term relationships are crucial, which probably isn't that surprising to us, right? When I was an atheist, I did not know that Christianity is about a relationship with God. I thought it was about an obligation to be religious, and I picked this up from my experience of church. The first thing that piqued my interest in Christianity as an atheist was the idea that it's actually about meeting and getting to know a living person. And this leads us straight into what I think of as the Jesus problem. On the one hand, Jesus is clearly a human being, but on the other, he claims to make God known in terms that we can completely understand. I'm sure that you've looked at ants and thought to yourself, if only I could communicate with a colony of those things. Well, what would be the best way to communicate with a colony of ants? Well, what if you could choose to become an ant? The Christian claim is that God, the almighty battle-shaped sized creator, has somehow stuffed himself into a thimble. He's come as near as breathing, as close as hands and feet in the person of his Son, which makes Jesus fully human and fully divine. So from a Christian perspective, the meaning of life is living in a long-term relationship with the person who made us and who loves us more than anyone else ever will. I flourish as a person because of the existence of this relationship in my life, and as byproducts of this relationship, I discover my identity and purpose without desperately having to work these things out for myself and on my own. Instead, they are revealed to me or even given to me as gifts. Every significant relationship influences us. Did you know that if you're standing side by side with a close friend on a bridge, looking down into the water, you mirror the physical stance of your friend? Did you know that when a child is born, it effectively falls in love with its mother's face? When we fall in love as adults, all we can see is the perfection of our lover, and we find the experience of deep relational connection ecstatic. This is what gives us a sense of security in life. Imagine then what the impact on our lives would be if we could experience a deep and intimate connection with God. Through Jesus, I believe we can. He says, I stand at the door of the heart and knock, and if anybody hears my voice and opens the door, I will come in and dwell with them, and they with me.